Well, with everybody being an expert on Tourette's, so am I. The incident is, of course, at the Baftas, where John Davidson hurled an insult at Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo.
Part of movie making.
We're here to celebrate the artists who...
They both made a swift recovery on stage, and there's a slight second delay where Michael B. Jordan can be seen thinking, not again. Later on, the actress Wunmi Mosaku was also subjected to a racial slur when she collected her Supporting Actress prize. BBC, of course, did not edit out the racial slur. Now, you can argue it both ways. Yes, any racial slur should have been edited out, regardless of who makes it. On the other hand, if a disabled person's uncontrollable tic causes offence, people need to understand the implications of being offended by someone with a disability. The irony is not lost on me, considering that the man, John Davidson, who hurled the slur, was the same man being honoured that night, of whom the movie I Swear is based upon. The pain of that word is all too real. However, are you referring to the N-word or the C-word?
Yeah, it made me crazy. Look,
Because I'll be damned if anybody tries to take away the C-word from public consumption. While I'm in no way condoning the use of any racial slur in any context, it's important to differentiate between an involuntarily tic and an aimed abuse word. So who has the right to be offended? People with Tourette's syndrome for the lack of tolerance towards their insults and their tics? Or a marginalised group whom the slur was intended at?
I want to be clear, because I don't want to harm people with Tourette's syndrome. Everyone with Tourette's is not the same. Everybody cannot do that. So don't stop asking people to do that. 2, it can be harmful to yourself if you're augmenting or trying to hold in tics. When you hold it in, it comes out worse later. It can also be painful for you. So I want us to be clear about that.
Then surely you of all people can understand that it's an involuntary tic and it wasn't aimed to cause offence.
I did hear that John did remove himself, so credit to him.
Just removing the person from the auditorium? Yep, that sounds like a good solution. Everybody with a disability, accommodate us normal people, and just remove yourself from any potential incident. The amount of people online, especially on TikTok and YouTube, who have been so angry at John Davidson for hurling an insult, while yes, it is wrong, this man cannot help it. He told the BBC this beforehand. The film, I Swear, is based upon his life experiences, and it just goes to show the level of ignorance that people have on this subject. Although the anger should not be aimed at John Davidson himself, it should frankly be aimed at the BBC. They chose not to edit it out, even though it had a 2-hour delay. When asked about this, the BBC responded by saying that their control panel team couldn't identify any slur. However, the control panel was able to identify the words Free Palestine being hurtled out by another man and managed to edit this out. Halfway through the show, the BBC decided to issue an apology, what they do best nowadays.
You may have heard some strong and offensive language. If you've seen the film I Swear, you will know that film is about the experience of a person with Tourette's.
Well, too little, too late, bitch. Racial slurs and insults being hurled at people are not secret thoughts being expressed. Those are Freudian slips you're thinking of. These are not preconceived, planned out insults ready to hurl at whoever fits the insult. They have no control. They are involuntarily tics. So, naturally people are angry about this. But there seems to be some misguided characters who are now claiming that John Davidson is a racist, he's intolerant, he should never have been part of the ceremony. But frankly, if we just remove anybody who has any mental disability, no one can go anywhere. Apparently the BBC had assured Davidson that any insult would be edited out. Unfortunately, they had sat him close to a microphone, so any tics were extra audible for all of us. As to the people online demanding that he apologise, I don't think he has to. I don't think he should. Yes, he acknowledged that the N-word is particularly offensive and he apologised for it. But demanding him to apologise is like forcing someone in a wheelchair to stand up. The BBC, on the other hand, they have a lot to apologise for. Just add it to the tab. For the people online inciting violence and hate towards Davidson, and to anybody who suffers from Tourette's, there's actually a scene in the movie I Swear where Davidson hurls an insult at a woman and he is later on beaten up for it by the woman's boyfriend and an accomplice. Now, this movie is set in the 80s and 90s, where nobody had any understanding of Tourette's, and people thought that racial or any insults were targeted. As to the people demanding he apologise, I don't think he should. Every minority competes with other minorities, so the question is, whose right to be offended trumps? Does the Tourette's community trump because they feel marginalised and misunderstood, or does the black community's right to be offended trump? And I gotta tell you, any black Americans watching, if you were so offended by this word, maybe you should stop calling each other this word 270 times a day on average. However, that does not mitigate the fact that the BBC made a conscious decision to not edit out this slur. Anyway, that's all for now. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll talk to you soon.